before you move forward, you're probably wondering, like, maybe I want to invite people from my company to help me with the super painful work of reading regulatory templates and customizing them. And I totally agree with you. Like, in German, there's a saying that essentially if two people suffer, it's only half the suffering. So maybe if you grow your company to 10 people, there's only 1/10 of suffering. Anyway, it's very easy in Formwork. So if you go to Settings, top right corner, and then on the left side, you have something called User Management. And there you hit Invite New User, enter their name, their email address, and set a role. You have user, viewer, and admin, and invite them. And that's literally all there is. As a side note, Formwork, in my opinion, is, well, generally is very awesome, but like rationally, what makes it really cool is you get unlimited user accounts at no extra cost. So even with the free version, you can invite unlimited users, and with the paid versions, of course, you can too, and they all get access to the complete set of features. So what about these roles? An admin obviously can do everything. A user can do everything besides managing the billing information. So if you're upgrading to the paid version, you manage that on the billing section on the left. And the viewer cannot edit anything. So they can view all documents and all records. They can even go through trainings, but they can't edit trainings or edit documents, edit records, or create new ones. So those are the three roles. And here are the people you invite. And you can, of course, delete them and archive them. All right. So in the last video, we talked about how to actually like copy over the documents, and that is the main work you need to do to set up your quality management system, and that actually works much faster in Formwork because it's literally just always one click of a mouse, right? It's like you click on a document and it's like, okay, copy it as a new document or record and save and done. So this is probably the fastest you'll ever get. What are the other features of Formwork we haven't looked at so far? So one thing which I really love to highlight is the batch export. So the batch export, in my opinion, is really cool, and what makes Formwork completely unique is that we just saw the document in your record file structure, which again was a bit like a Google Drive. And the batch export allows you to literally just take all of that out with a click of a button and move it to another system. You could literally leave Formwork if you're unhappy with it. So you select new, and then you get a choice to include documents and include records. Let's include documents. And then you should select the version, so the most recent approved document or most recent draft, kind of like up to you. For an audit, probably the approved version. To move to another system, probably most recent draft version. And now you get actually the choice between PDF and Markdown. Markdown is kind of like the technical source format of those documents, which enables you to edit them, which in my opinion is really cool. PDF would be for non-technical people like auditors to hand it into them. You can also include attachments, and same with records. You can export the records and as PDF or Markdown. I won't go into too much detail into this option. It's like you can also have records in your tech doc section. You can also export them, so that's cool. You hit start, and after you hit start, this nice progress bar goes through, and you get this zip archive with which in this case is kind of huge, which has all your documents and records inside it. So that's like the huge benefit of Formwork, in my opinion, is literally take out all your data. The batch export is actually a paid feature, so in the free version, you don't have that, but there's still kind of like a hacky workaround. You could just kind of like go into each document and download it as PDF here. But yeah, that sucks a bit. So, but I guess the batch export is kind of compute intensive because generating PDF sucks on a technical level. So we have to limit access to it a bit, unfortunately. Again, no other QMS system has this. They lock you in, like hardcore lock you in, but we don't do that. Which other features do we have in the QMS section? Let's actually skip ahead and not look at these because I want to talk about a more exciting feature first. So probably the first exciting feature in Formwork was, okay, you can manage your documents and records, and it's very seamless, and you can copy over stuff, and you're super fast. The next feature, which I personally really like, is the technical documentation feature. This is a paid feature, but after going through all the videos in this course, you actually get a free trial, so you get full access to that too. Now, if I click on the Tech Doc section, I can select a product. We have different test products here. We can actually also create a new one. Let's actually go ahead and create a new one. You enter the name of your medical device. So this is your medical device name. It can be software, hardware, or software and hardware. And optionally, you can write short intended use if you want to use our auto generation features, which I personally think are super exciting. So let's actually go through this. Let's say medical image viewer, software, and then short intended use, a DICOM compliant medical image viewer to be used by radiologists for looking at, I don't know, radiology images. Safe. All right. Now this really cool thing is that you have all the standards in this section as kind of like categories. So you have something called software requirements. You have something called software tests. You have your risk management, like risk matrix, risk table and everything, and usability tests. So these cover actually 3 standards, 3 of the required standards we have to fulfill, and we actually walked through those in one of the earlier videos. These are, in simplified terms, about the software development standard. These are about the risk management standard, and these are about the usability testing standard. Now, the question is like, what's the benefit of all of this? So if I want to now document my software requirements, I would go ahead and click software requirements and hit new, and then now it would say like, okay, I have to like essentially document my software features in Formwork. The cool thing in Formwork, in my opinion, is that it gives you a lot of structure and makes it very easy for you to document them, and there's no mess and it versions things. So let's unpack those things in a bit. If I would actually do this in a template, so let's actually take a look at how the template looks for this. Go to the template section, and then software requirements list. You can actually see this is a table. So this is a table like ID of the software requirement, category, description, and is it a risk control measure, and with which risks is it related. Now in Formwork this looks kind of like the fields are the same, but it looks very different. So you have the same categories, but it's a drop down here. You can actually select it, and we entered the actual values from the standard. It gives you, it pre-assigns an ID, title, and you can write a title and description. So let's actually write a description like display medical images. Medical image viewer renders images correctly, oh, whatever. Okay. All of this is like not rocket science, right? Like this is just like some nicer way of entering data. The real rocket science, in my opinion, is the relations. So with these relations, it really helps you to link stuff with each other, which is way more difficult in a table. So in this table, you can see like, okay, I have to link this to risks. And the implementation here is by typing out the ID of the risk, which totally sucks, because now if you would go ahead in your risk table and change the content of this, you would not know that you have to update this in the table. And here in Formwork, you can just click on one of these buttons, one of these sections, and automatically link it. And I will show you the benefits of that in a second. So let's actually save this and then show you how linking works. So one of the requirements, for example, is, well, yeah, you have to document software requirements, which is this thing we just documented, but you also have to document your users, your stakeholders, and your user needs. So let's do this in a bit. New stakeholder, radiologist. I'll skip ahead and not enter a description. A user need of the radiologist could be read medical images for, I don't know, diagnostic purposes. Link that. And now the exciting part is now I can link this with the software requirements, right? And we already have created a software requirement. So I go to software requirement 1, link it with this. I could link it with multiple if I wanted, and save it. And now you see the link is displayed. So you can see, okay, I've created this user need, and it's linked to these software requirements in the sense of that it implements, it is implemented by these software requirements. And now the really cool thing is if I go to these software requirements, to this software requirement, I have the link backwards too, so it is linked back to the user needs, which I can also verify by editing it, and then you see it is actually linked. So this is really extremely cool, but the coolest aspect really is that, okay, now your data stays consistent. Is that worth paying money for? Maybe, maybe not. But in my opinion, what totally makes this worth it is the audit export. And the audit export Formwork automatically creates spreadsheets based on all these linkages, and then you can use those spreadsheets and hand those in for audits. So let's actually take a look at how this looks. You can actually download something like a user needs specification. Let's download that spreadsheet. And then further below, you can download your software requirement specification. That might be something we want to look at. And then something which I really think is a huge automation is your traceability matrix. So let's download that too. And I'll go ahead and actually open those spreadsheets so you can take a look at them. Let's take a look at the user needs specification. So this is just as we would have expected. You can see, okay, the user need 1 is entered here. It's linked to the radiologist, title and description are there, and it's also linked to the software requirements. And likewise, like if you would look at, sorry for the confusion, if you would look at the software requirements specification, it includes this table of software requirements. And this software requirement is linked to the user need. Now, what is really cool is the traceability matrix, where it traces each thing to another thing. So you can see it creates multiple sheets in the spreadsheet. So a user need, for example, here is user needs traced to stakeholder requirements. So you can see stakeholder requirement 1 implements user need 1. So that's, sorry, no, actually, a mistake is it traces user needs to stakeholders, not stakeholder requirements. That doesn't make sense. Should just read this title. So you can see user need 1 is implementing, or is linked to stakeholder 1. And likewise, it creates these links too between software requirements and user needs 2. So you can see software requirement 1 implements user need 1. And all the other things too. So I think that's personally really, really cool, because otherwise you have to do this completely manually, and it sucks a lot. So that's that's in my opinion the second huge benefit of Formwork, besides the QMS section where you can copy over the open regulatory templates and customize them in seconds. The technical documentation part allows you to do structured documentation, which keeps your data consistent and automatically generate all these spreadsheets, which usually would require a lot of manual work to hand into auditors. And your auditors are probably going to be very happy about these spreadsheets, because they have the exact shape and structure of normal technical documentation submissions they see from other companies. All right. Next, we're going to look at a few more fancy things in Formwork, how we can automate things even further. And then after that, I'll leave you to it to start your own trial and take a look whether this works for you too.